Right, I'm going to have to... fucking reason... Oh my good God. My camera has started... Can you fucking see me? Am I flickering? I hope not. For some reason my LED lights have started fucking messing with my camera and making it flicker, which is getting really annoying. Anyway, here we are again. I know you wanted ZXR 750R or the GSXR 750 SP, which I'm looking right at. You're not getting that. You're getting this instead this week because I'm waiting on parts. Some of the parts have come. Some of them haven't. And there's other stuff going on. There's a story. There's always a bloody story. But you'll get that next week, hopefully. So this week, this is not my favourite job. I've got to put this lot on this bike. What a massive pain in the testes it is to do this job. Follow along. Listen to me swear. You might glean something from it if you're doing one yourself. It's not a particularly nice job. Getting the old ones off and not spilling any brake fluid anywhere. Lots of rags, little plastic bags and cable ties. Just try and... The best way to wash brake fluid off something when you spilt it is to not fucking spill it in the first place. So super careful. Get all the old lines off. Fit the new stuff. Then the bleeding process in. And it is a bleeding process. Let's get the bodywork off. Fairing. Don't need to get the upper fairing off, but let's get fairing panels off, the tank and the seat panel. Let's get it stripped so we can see what we're getting at. Just start taking it apart. See where we end up. Right, onwards. Ugh, my knees. And did I not say it's a VFR 800? It's a nice one, to be fair. It's, what reg is it? It's 2009, but it's done 11,500 miles. It's very clean and very loved. Yeah, nice. I'm not sure about this fake carbon surround on the dashboard, but each to their own. But yeah, it's in lovely condition. Right, let's get the tank and all the bodywork off it. Seat lock. There. No, yes, no, yes, yes. Don't you drop that washer. It'll never be seen again. Right, okay. I think this tank has got a little, it hinges up. Let's turn that out the way. Is that going to give me clearance? It's got a little cable on it, hasn't it? I seem to remember. Yes, to stop the tank coming up. 8mm spanner. Is that 8mm? I thought it was 8mm. Yes, it is 8mm. And then, let's just put that there for a second, like that. So fight with the cables and the pipes. Got this breather pipe. And we've got a wire. Or three. That one. And then the one on the pump. Seriously? You can't be corroded. You are a bit. Brown one on the pump. Bit dry and horrible as well, not corroded though. Right. There's a breather there. Well, a clip on it. No, that's the return. What am I fucking talking about? Ignore me. I don't know what I'm doing. That's the return. I need to clampolate the pipe going to the throttle bodies and clampolate that one. Okay, get some clampolators. Okay. I'm going to have to improvise here. Cable tie and a pair of pliers. Fucking hell, Jim, how professional of you. I'm going through a phase of losing things. I've got a box of little windy up cable clampers. I can't find them, which is rather annoying. I haven't loaned them to anybody because I've given up loaning people tools, because people are unreliable fucks and they never bring anything back. I'd be better off with a socket on there. Like that. And I need to clamp the return as well. I'll take the return off the pressure regulator on this end down here. And I'll just bung the end of the pipe up. And then take the screws out the back and we can lift the tank off. That's that. Let's catch that washer. Catch the washer. A bit more cloth on there. Put the washer back on and the little noggin. Okay, long nose pliers. And then, oh God, guys, you're in the way again. We've got to stop doing this. I can't get. I have to move you, sorry. You might be able to see better from there anyway. If I got out of the light, can he get to the clip? There we go. Put a little bit of rag over that frame. It's because I'm rubbing my pliers on the side of it and I don't like it. Okay. Oh, come on, Jim. That clip's all bent out of shape. We'll be replacing on that. Give it a squeeze and a pull at the same time. Come on now. Fucking hell, that's annoying. Come on now. Clip, rather than undoing, is bending. And it's going to piss fuel everywhere. Right, where's my little stopper? There we go. Yeah, see the clip? It's all just... Focus! Put a new clip on there when it goes back together. Right, tank off. Welcome to how to remove a fuel tank from a VFR 800. 10mm spanner? No, T-bar even. That's an 8mm, Jim. Oh, come on, organise yourself. There it is. It is, says on that sticker, it's a VFR 800A9. In case you were wondering. Right, if my calculations are correct, nothing is attached. Oh, don't say that out loud. What is that? Oh, there's another flipping breather pipe. Oh, Jim. Like I said, don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, that one there, look, you. Thank you. Okay. Have a look under here. It's all very original, not molested. Have a look at his air filter while we're in here, probably. Right, fairing. Oh my good God, I forgot what a nightmare this is going to be. Surely there isn't a nut on the back of there. That's not Honda, is it? There's a nut on the back. What is happening? Gonna fall down somewhere. Yes, by then. Yeah, they are definitely not genuine Honda bolts. Is that a nut as well? Yes. They should have little plastic rivets, not nuts and bolts. Like on the other side, they'll be going back on with the proper clips. And there's one missing from there too. Let's rescue that nut before we forget about it. Where did it go? Oh, Jim. You're not helping? Tell me where it went. Went down there, didn't it, somewhere? There it is, thank you. Right, okay, so I've got it as a part, as I think I need to get it. Now I'm going to do something that you would never normally do, and you'd actually avoid at all costs. I'm basically going to get my sucky $10 machine, inflation and all that. Okay, I'm going to crack the bleed nipples, and I'm going to suck out as much of the brake fluid as I possibly can. I'm going to periodically, I don't think that's the right way of saying it, I'm going to go around individually around each brake bleed nipple. I'm going to suck as much of the fluid out of the system as I can so the reservoirs get sucked dry, and I've drawn as much out in an effort to try and control the amount of brake fluid I've got to deal with when I start cracking off bleed nipples. And then what I'll also do is, for example, there are 2 brake lines going to this rear caliper. I will crack the bleed nipples. I'll crack the banjo bolts at this caliper at the bottom here. I'll put a load of rag underneath, and then I'll crack them up on the ABS pump and let gravity drain out what's in the line. Am I making sense? Just to try and contain it, because you just really want to avoid getting out of control with the brake fluid and spilling it anywhere. Right, so I will crack on doing this. Although what I am going to need to do is use an open-ended, not a ring, because I can't open that bleed nipple enough. Yeah, that you get to a point where you hear that horrible sucking sound from the reservoir, which is normally an oh fuck moment, but actually what you want it to do is draw all the fluid out. Right, let me get that done, and I will see you on the other side. There are also bleed nipples by the pump as well, so just suck on every single one. Give that a pumpy, just get as much fluid out as you possibly can. Right, okay, so I'm not going to show you doing every single brake line. I'll send you all to sleep, but just to give you a bit of an idea how I do it. Obviously, you can please yourself how you do yours. So, with changing the brake lines, what I like to do is, for example, let me get my head in the shot. Let's crack off this bleed nipple, banjo bolt. Okay, on this one line. So this brake line goes from the caliper straight up to the ABS pump under the seat. So I'm going to take that banjo bolt out, catch this fluid. Let's just leave that dangle. Make sure we're catching what's coming out of the caliper as well. and then I'll take you to the pump. So we've got to make sure that we identify the right line. So that is that one down in there. We seen that? What I could actually do is, if I had any sense, and I could find the right T-bar, we can just smidge that out the way a bit, give us a bit more fighting room. Okay, that's better. Let's get some paper towel. Don't like that leaning on there either. Stuff a load of rag down there. Catch the shmoo. What we do is we just crack this banjo bolt, and obviously that'll introduce air into the airline, and what's left in the brake pipe will drain out like that. So I think that's empty. Let's get rid of the banjo bolt and take this one out completely. Pull the line out. Let's get that bolt and that washer out of the way. Let's just pull that up and dry it off. Sorry, that's great camera work, isn't it? Okay. Make sure we got some paper under the pump. There's nothing dripping out of it though. Pull this line out. Like that. Pull that out of there. There you go. Voila, line number one. Now what I like to do, and you can absolutely please yourself, but this is the way I do it, just do one line at a time, because if you, I mean, you could quite easily just remove all the lines, couldn't you? But then you've got multiple dripping orifices, which are never good. So the trick now is to just find the most likely line. It's going to be, it's got two noggins on it, and it's quite long. And it's got that like that. This is really hard with the camera in the way. And then, hang on, let me just go out of shot. Yeah, this is the line for it. So I'll just replace that one line. New banjo bolts, new washers. Get that one line in place, move on to the next, so on and so forth. Just pick them off one at a time. That way I can contain the dripping, if that makes sense. Right, that's enough waffling about that. You get the idea. It's not an exact how-to. I'll bring you back in when all the lines are on, and then the real work can start. We've got to get brake fluid in it and no air, or get the air out rather. Bleedage. Right, wish me luck. See you on the other side. Oh, my lights are still flickering. That's so annoying. Guys, you're just going to have to deal with it. It doesn't matter what I do, I cannot stop them from flickering. It's this stupid LED panel up here. So the brake lines are all on. I thought it's time I wore this t-shirt. Somebody was kind enough to buy it for me, so I thought I'd wear it. I'm staring at the bike, if you're wondering why I'm looking weirdly past the camera. Brake lines are all fitted. Just not really complicated, just a bit of a pain in the bottom because, you know, trying really hard to not spill brake fluid. I don't want to blow smoke up my own arse. I don't think I dropped a single drop of brake fluid, which compared to, I've watched over the years, I've seen people do brake lines on various bikes. These are probably one of the worst. They're just fucking paddling around in brake fluid. It's just, stop now. Don't do it. You can contain it. You just got to be methodical. Suck it all out, one line at a time. Like I said, rags under one end, introduce air at the top of the line, let it drain out. You can, I didn't this time, I just used some rag, but you can cable tie. If you take the line off the caliper, Just get some little plastic bags and zippy tie them on the end of the cable, so when you lift the line, you understand what I mean, it drains down into the... There's loads of different techniques to not get yourself in a mess. Anyway, the lines are all on. I want to talk to you about bleeding this thing. It is quite straightforward. Everybody shits themselves. It's just a little bit of a pain. What I suggest you do is get yourself the genuine Honda service manual. Get yourself the genuine Honda service manual. There's a really good sort of 10 or 15 pages of explanation of how the system works. There's schematics of all the lines and where they go. If you sit yourself down with a brew or a beer for half an hour and just digest it all, it's time well spent, because you'll understand the architecture of it then, and it won't be such a mystery. So do that. You can find the workshop manual online. It's an easy one to get. If you're a patron, it's actually in the service manual database, so you can go and get it there if you want. What else was I going to say? So bleeding. So normally I use my Sucky $5, which is actually, it's $10 now, and we've had a bit of inflation. My Sucky $10 machine, 98.5% of the time, whenever I'm doing brakes or anything like that, this is absolutely sufficient. With these, what you need to do, the full girlfriend experience. So a proper vacuum brake bleeder. It's easier. You can do it with a Sucky $5, but if you get the full girlfriend for the evening experience on there, you just got so much more vacuum, and it pulls the fluid through, and it's way more controllable. I've got a couple of these. I've got a Sealy one, and I prefer this one. This came from Larson, I'm pretty sure. It's whatever their brand of tools is. It's just nice. The valve's all metal. It's really well made. Nice swivel on the jobby what's it. Yeah, so bleeding with this. And then there's an order, fucking waffling, I'll show you as I'm doing it. There's 7 brake bleed nipples on this, and you really do need to follow the order in the Honda shop manual. Trust me, do it that way. I've tried doing it other ways. That is definitely the way to do it. And the other thing is, in the Honda workshop manual, if you read through it, it suggests that you take the rear caliper off and turn it around. I suggest, from experience, you take all the calipers off and move them around through various angles as you're pulling the fluid, because you can get little pockets of air trapped. Just moving the caliper around and just tapping on the brake lines, it really helps. Anyway, waffle over. Let's get on with it. Okay. I'm in danger of waffling for hours here. I'm going to try and keep this as short and sweet as I can. In case you're watching this and you are doing one yourself, just try and add some value for you. So, without really getting in the weeds, let me just talk you through the basic components. Obviously, everybody knows what a brake caliper looks like, one on each side on the front. This is a secondary master cylinder. This, without getting into it too much, regardless of what's activating this caliper, when this caliper is activated, or when the brake is applied on this caliper, it pivots from this point. The caliper rotates around, okay, and it pressurizes fluid in this secondary master cylinder, which comes out of this hose, and that goes to this little noggin here next to the battery. So this is the servo PCV. So PCV being proportional control valve. It's a bit of a mouthful. This just modulates the pressure going to the rear caliper from that secondary master cylinder. Let's leave that there. And then on this side here, on the right hand side of the bike, there's another PCV valve down in here, which you can hardly see. That's for the rear brake. So when you apply pressure on the rear brake lever, that controls the amount of force going to the rear caliper, and it splits it, and some of the brake pressure goes to this center piston on this caliper on this side, which then, it's sort of like a loop, isn't it, if you think about it, and then this applies pressure to this secondary master cylinder, which in turn sends pressure back to the rear brake. It's like having a servo on a car. That's the way to try and imagine how this works. You're using some of this mechanical energy generated from slowing the bike down, from the friction of the brake pads, and you're using that energy to apply pressure to the brake system. So you're into, assuming it's all working correctly, you're into one finger braking. And then the other important components, there's two, I call them ABS pumps, but technically I think they call them modulators in the workshop manual. So there's a front one, that's the front ABS pump, and then there's the rear one here. That's the rear ABS modulator. And obviously we've got a rear brake caliper as well. So that's the architecture of it. I think I said, didn't I, just previously, go and look at the diagrams in the Honda Workshop Manual, because if you stare at them for long enough, you'll have a aha moment. At least that's what happens to most people. Right, so bleeding. There's an order. There's 7 bleed nipples. They need to be done in order, as I previously stated. Let me connect me girlfriend experience up to the first one, and we'll just go through them in order. Right, okay, so I've got the rear wheel off. You can just about squeeze the caliper out with the wheel on, but just much easier get the wheel off. It's just so I can now, you know what I'm saying, I can move that around as I'm bleeding. It says, I can't remember what it says in the manual, it says something about 15 or 20 degrees of movement. Just have the caliper loose, and then as you're pulling fluid, you can do stuff with the caliper and move the lines around, and trust me, that really does help. So I've got both master cylinders filled with fluid. You're going to need at least a litre of fluid, .4. The whole system, because everything's empty because it's had lines on and the pumps are empty and stuff, so it takes more fluid than you would imagine. So I've got a litre bottle. Well, I've got more if I need it, but it'll probably use most of this litre bottle. Right, okay, let's get sucking. Okay, so this is where we start. This side, upper. Crack that nipple. So I've got brake fluid in the reservoir. Sucky, sucky. Here comes the fluid. I've got to keep checking that compressor's going to get annoying, isn't it? I have to keep checking the reservoir and topping it up. Okay, let's leave that at that for now. Suck that as we're taking it off. Move on to the next one. It's not uncommon, guys, to after you're doing your lap of 7 nipples. Fucking hell, that sounds weird. You're doing your lap of 7 nipples. Often, I'll go back and do another round. Do you see what I mean? So that's the first one. Right hand front. This has only got 1 nipple on it. Like that. Check that master cylinder for fluid. That'll do for now. What's really annoying, which makes swear words come out, is you think you're all done, then you're not paying attention to the master cylinder and you hear a fucking sucking sound. And then the next one is this PCV valve, the servo PCV. That is a 10mm, not an 8mm. You can see all the manky brake fluid that's left in it coming out, can't you? Keep topping this up. Yeah, if you had a bigger master cylinder reservoir, it'd be a lot easier. Hey, can you hear me over this row? I'm sure you can get a master cylinder cap that'll fit so you can constantly feed it with brake fluid, but I don't have one. Guys, do you really need to see me do every single one? Wait for that compressor to shut up. Okay, I won't bore you with all of them. Basically, repeat. Move the calipers around as you're sucking. Go around twice. Put the calipers on. Hopefully we've got brakes. Right, I'll bring you back in when I'm not necessarily done, but when I think I'm done. That makes sense. And then just sort of thinking out loud, the other thing which is obvious you can do is you can pump the levers too if you want to sort of help things along. It's not going to hurt to pump the front and rear master cylinders. You can also, don't really want to get into it, you can reattach the left-hand caliper and activate the secondary master cylinder as well, if you see what I mean. The only thing you've got to be careful of, the way I'm doing it, is I've got the calipers off. You don't really want the pads to close up. Obviously you can push the pistons back in the calipers, but I've got some, don't even know where they are. I printed a big assortment of little 3D printed spacers to go in between calipers, in between brake pads rather. Just fold a piece of cardboard up, just keep the pads from closing in on themselves. Obviously not really applying any pressure, are you, to the brake system, so you're not going to force the, you know what I'm saying? Fucking hell, waffling again. Right. See you in a bit. I'll keep thinking of things to show you. I've got another top tip for you. Well, it's not really a top tip. It might not be obvious unless you're paying attention. So this one, this rear caliper, I've got the bleed nipple. Let me undo the bleed nipple again. Now if I just pumpy pump, right, I've got loads of fresh fluid coming out. No air bubbles, right? I'm pretty confident I've got all the air out of that now. However, if I was to suck on it, let me open this and do this. I'm getting air bubbles, right, in the fluid. Most of you already know what's happening. What's happening is this vacuum, it's pulling air in around the threads of the bleed nipple. And it can give you a false reading, is that the way of putting it? So it's not a bad idea too, if I knew which way to undo this bleed nipple. When you think you're done, pumpy, like that. See what I mean? Make sure I don't run out of fluid in there. Arms in the way. Last bit of bleeding, just do with a lever. A few ways around that. You can get some PTFE type grease stuff to put on bleed nipples. I just use, if you really need to and you're struggling to bleed a system and you really need to pull a vacuum and you don't want it leaking air in down the side of those threads, you know the high vacuum grease I talk about for holding things in position? That's perfect on bleed nipple threads to stop air getting in. Anyway, that was me top tip I was thinking of. Something else worth paying attention to with these systems. So there's two pivots here. There's this bottom one. Am I in shot there? Yeah, just. There's a little needle roller there. That one's nice and free. This one here, which has got like a weird little fibre jobby what's it. Am I going to get that in shot? You can sort of fold that in on itself and get it out. You can see the build-up of corrosion in here. There's a little metal spacer that it runs in the centre of, rather. Got to make sure that's nice and free as well, because even though this has some movement, it stops. See how this returns all the way? If it gets stuck in slightly, the little bypass hole inside this master cylinder that feeds the fluid in to get to, so this, the output of this goes through that servo PCV to the center piston of the rear caliper. You can't bleed that centre piston if you've got this caliper on and this is slightly compressed in. Useful information? I don't know, maybe. Okie dokie. So I've been round, I've done 3 laps, not 2, so I've been around every single bleed nipple 3 times, chasing air around. There's basically nothing left in that litre bottle, so it's taken a litre. A couple of final little top tips for you. Go round at the end, this just be organised. I like to put a spanner on every single bleed nipple, like I do with the banjo bolts. And then here's the thing, I'm sure a lot of you know this already. Get a little bit of cloth, go down the centre of the bleed nipple, you can find the hole, and soak up any brake fluid that's in the bleed nipple. Otherwise, when you put the dust cap back over the bleed nipple, what happens is you build up pressure inside. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is the brake fluid comes up the thread, because the way the bleed nipple seals, it's got a little taper on the bottom and it presses against a hole machined into whatever it's screwed into. So you're pressurising brake fluid. The other, you know what I mean? You get brake fluid leaking up the thread and you think, what the fuck's happening? I've got a brake fluid leak, but you haven't. You've just created the problem by pressurising that little bit of brake fluid that's left inside the... I'm probably being OCD, but that's what I like to do. So I've been round every single bleed nipple. They're all tight. All the caps are on. What to say now? Oh, I'll move the camera. I've got something else to show you. It's a bit of maybe a silly thing, but I tell you, the devil is in the detail. Listen to this. In fact, let me take my microphone off so you can hear it. Listen to this lever. Can you hear that? It's like creaking. So as you pull it in, it's sort of jerky. Put my mic back on. It's not the pivot, although the pivot probably needs to be lubricated. It's the cam where the lever pushes against the piston in the master cylinder. It's all dry, and it makes the brakes feel sort of very snatchy and on-off and not very progressive. Take the levers off, grease the pivot, grease the cam there where it touches. You'll be amazed at the difference that'll make. What else was I going to say? It's a bit like, you know, when you lubricate a throttle tube and you make the throttle feel all nice. It's the sort of, what's the word I'm thinking? Like the touch points where you interact with a bike, if you like. You get all these little things. It just makes it a nicer ride. Fucking wafflage. Although I am literally wearing the t-shirt, so I'm allowed to. I don't know whether this is the end of the video. It might be. All the levers are absolutely solid. The one place, the reason why I went round a third time is this master cylinder, in fact it's not really in shot, is it? Come on, pay attention. This master cylinder here, see how if I push on here now, there's a tiny bit of movement and it's rock solid. I had air between the master cylinder here, this line, and the PCV servo up next to the battery. So I went round again and I used this backwards and forwards whilst bleeding on the PCV just to get that last little bit of air out. I think I'm done. I'm glad it's all bled. I've got the fairing to put back on, the tank to put back on, the rear wheel. Just top off the master cylinders, put those back together. But I think to all intents and purposes, this video's over. I might share the road test, might not. Hope you enjoyed it and there was some valuable information. I will see you next week while I'm working on the ZXR 750R again. Thanks guys, I appreciate all of you loads. Like and subscribe if you would. Subscribers are growing, knocking on the door of 66,000 now. That 100,000 subs seems like a long way away still, but it is going in the right direction. So all of you that have subscribed, I really appreciate it. I'm not going to spam you with stuff. You get one video every Friday. Right, thanks guys. See you soon. Bye. little bit of a mobile phone video to end because I missed something out that I really wanted to tell you. When you've got it all back together, okay, today is tomorrow, by the way, it's the next day. Overnight, I had a cable tie around the brake lever, just not fucking crazy tight, just to put a little bit of pressure in the brake system. And I had a ratchet strap down here, pulling down onto the bench, just to put a little bit of pressure in the rear brake system and the front brake system, well, in the in the combined brake system. It's got a clutch line on it. I had a cable tie around the clutch lever. This is before the bodywork and stuff went back on. And then in the morning when I came to it, you just go round all the unions and look for if there's any leakage, even the tiniest bit, it will be really obvious. It's important you do that. I know we've used new copper washers and it should theoretically not leak, but yeah, before you put it back together you really need to do that. Should have mentioned that before I wrapped up. Right, this is the end now. See you next week.